My friend has a ninth grader and is going through many of the challenges that arise as a parent of Gen Z. Recently, he told me about an eye-opening moment. It was later at night, the kids had gone to bed, my friend was locking up the house and climbing the stairs as he went off to bed, and he heard what sounded like two people having a conversation. One voice he recognized, the other he didn't. As he went up the stairs, he got to his son's room, and he cracked open the door and he saw his son under a sheet, FaceTiming with some of his friends. As he listened to the conversation, he described hearing a completely different person than the son he knew. The language his son used, the topics that were discussed, the vulgarity, all of it was incredibly disheartening to him. He ripped off the sheet and horror spread across his son's face, realizing that he had just exposed his digital alter ego. This anecdote highlights yet another dynamic in the lives of Gen Z: digital schizophrenia. You see, prior to iPhones, parents were the gatekeepers of their own homes. Whatever came into their homes had to pass through the front door first. Now, in the digital age, kids have become the gatekeepers. Anything and everything has digital access straight into students' bedrooms, usually completely unbeknownst to parents. This newfound anonymity is a catalyst for digital schizophrenia. Students have learned to create multiple selves to match the platform that they're interacting on. And certainly this dynamic has always existed. Our kids have always been different with their friends than they are with their parents. But the digital world has exacerbated that dynamic. And so our students, from the moment they get their first smartphone, are conditioned to curate multiple personalities. In many cases, it is so severe that it's difficult to know who the student actually is at their core. I can't tell you how many discipline cases at school result in shock when you find out which student actually said what. Teachers and parents alike are surprised at what seemingly good kids are capable of on social media. But in many ways, our students do this without knowing the full consequences. They're a guinea pig generation, the first generation to ever have this kind of supercomputer in their back pocket constantly, and we have yet to fully understand the impact it has on them. I tell my students in the beginning of class that it's certainly harder to be a teenager now compared to when I grew up. One author says this: "The smartphone is causing a social reversal, the desire to be alone in public and never alone in seclusion." In addition to digital schizophrenia, this dynamic is also complicating the lives of our students. The blurred lines between authentic and counterfeit community gives our students the appearance of closeness, but doesn't actually deliver. Tim Keller talks about our basic desire as humans to be fully known and fully loved. While Keller uses that to talk about our relationship with God in a vertical sense, that same dynamic is in part true in a horizontal sense with our friends. The issue with our students is that they are not making themselves fully known and therefore cannot feel fully loved as they truly are. Social media is more of an avatar of themselves, only depicting the moments that get through their own filter. Our students then, therefore, are left wondering, would I still get likes on all of the things that are equally true of me but I'm not posting? Donna Freitas conducted a large-scale survey with interviews of students on 13 college campuses, all on the topic of social media. Part of her findings concluded the following: "One of my most important findings, to my mind, is the schizophrenic effect social media has on people's sense of self. Social media produces a world in which the problems and blemishes of real life are hidden behind virtual presentations of self that struggle, often obsessively, to be liked. One must always appear attractive, happy, and clever. Even while users grasp the dehumanizing forces at work here, they find it difficult to keep themselves from playing into this virtual world's insidious grasp on human insecurities and fears. The damage is perpetrated mostly by the same people who suffer from them. It is troubling to anyone who wishes to see the young people growing up to be authentically secure, happy, realistic, and genuinely caring about the real needs of other people." It's quite a quote. As I've said before, we don't know the full picture yet, but we can already recognize some very significant brushstrokes, and it's safe to say that the iPhone has a drastic impact on one's sense of self and community. Here's a takeaway. This won't be the magic bullet to solve all these issues, but it can be very helpful to begin developing a student's sense of self. One way to do this is to have them take a personality test. Whether it's the Myers-Briggs or the DISC test or the Enneagram, whatever it is, students generally love combing through the findings and comparing themselves and their experiences to see if they're accurate. It's not necessarily the results that matter as much as it is encouraging students to be introspective and thoughtful in a metacognitive sort of way. This can hopefully serve as an avenue to begin discussing other dynamics like the ones that we just talked about.